Fuck's sake. Oh, get that out of shot. I'll use it after. Fuck's sake, with the timing, I forgot. That's all right. Hang on, let me just check my sound, check that everything's good, check my CPU. Oh, it's a little crunchy today, but we do the best we can. We do that. We do the best.
That's a paddling.
Hello. I'm trying to be in a good mood, but I'm actually in a bit of a fucking... I'm a little emotional about all of this because obviously it does affect me. Like, I don't know why I keep being algo fucked in the... All I can think of is that there's somehow a book... I know that it's unfolding and that I won't know where it ends. And sometimes, when you're in the middle of the story, obviously it's hard to see, what you get from it. I'm somebody who learns from things. I'm somebody who, in hindsight, I didn't know what I was. There's been times when I don't know what's going on, and then, with time, it sort of reveals itself. And I'm not religious or anything like that, obviously, but there is a sort of weird cosmic thing. Call it instinct. It's more of a professional toned instinct at this point than it is it's not intuition. The difference between instinct and intuition is experience and knowledge, learning from your mistakes, right? My instincts tell me that, obviously this isn't the first time that I've been algo fucked and it won't be the last, and that's sort of the problem. But where I think it's going is that there's probably it just keeps coming back to the fact that I've got to write this fucking book that I keep planning to write about, dying by the sword, this thing where I signed up to this internet and it was marvelous, and I leaned into it and I did all the things and I went, okay, let's just do all the right things, and then the rules changed. And everything just fucking collapsed on me for doing the right thing. And everyone who did the wrong thing was rewarded. And everyone who used these tools for evil was rewarded. And there's just I think there's a story somewhere in it. And I just need to see this as I just need to see it as another part of the story. But basically, what's happened in the last 48 hours, I was happy. I was like studying tech law happily. I was happy. And otherwise, this university is fantastic. I was very happy there. I was doing well, sitting on a, distinction, high distinction, right? And I was flying high and happy. And then all of a sudden, I am accused of using AI for an assignment. My first grade is frozen. Okay, so I can't access my grades. They said that they could give like feedback, but not the grade. But the feedback was given the day before the next assignment was due. I'm now being hauled over for academic misconduct with a presumption, like they're basically like, well, we'll decide if you're under investigation. We'll decide if there's enough to proceed with an investigation. We'll decide. And it's like based on an AI checker tool. And I didn't. It's like thankfully I'm on public record as saying, don't do that. It doesn't work. It's not good. This tech is bad. And the problem is that there's a product called Turnitin that is a monopoly in the education system, right? In the higher education system, who have promised a product that's 98% effective. Everyone's taking that on face value rather than as a lie, which it is. And like, if you go on Reddit and see like the fucking conniptions from all these students that are getting false positives, and yet again, I find myself on the receiving end of accusations that I shouldn't have to defend because they shouldn't be implementing this tech, or they can implement it, but it should not be anything that they use as a basis for making accusations, especially to a fucking grown-ass adult. It's like, I should say, no, I didn't. Here's what happened probably, and that should be enough. Now I'm sitting here at the fucking receiving end of like potential academic misconduct in the first semester of my law degree. And you know why? And I'm just going to explain what happened. And this is what they didn't even ask me to like state my case. They said basically the day the second assignment was due, so I have no mark. I have no reference point other than a quiz where I did really well. I was happy. I was learning stuff. Now, I've studied law before. I've first of all, got a minor in legal studies. I've, obviously I studied public policy. I'm also a grown-ass adult who reads, and I've done so this is a sort of basic intro to legal system stuff. So I don't log in much to the Moodle because I don't need to, because this is stuff, it's my brain. I know what I'm doing, right? It's not really, so I just go in and I read the textbook and I get the assignment and I do okay. Now, one thing I have noticed about law school in particular is that they do like to beat you to a pulp in the first year, obviously, because much like when I was studying psychology, at the end of the day, if you're going to be a lawyer, you can get a whole case thrown out of court based on, attention to detail. So I understand that part, right? So they kind of hammer you a little bit, and that's fair, okay? So the feedback that I received, some of it was valid, absolutely valid, understanding the task, like those things. They're kind of hammering that into you early. I get that, okay? But some of the feedback was around legal writing, okay? And some of it was nitpicking about sort of the use of like colloquialisms, being rigid with structure, making sure that you write to a strict template, making sure that you like write basically things that are the same as everybody else. But then when you write the same as everybody else, they've got an AI checker that tells you that you've been writing things with AI. And it's like, okay, this is fucked. Now, I've already accepted the fact that, like, there's a very good chance that because it's law school, they're not fans of insubordination, okay? The whole legal profession is built on hierarchy and kicking downwards, and that's a whole fucking thing that I kind of just decided, get through the law degree and decide later whether you want to fucking be an intern at a law firm. That's something that I decided late. Like, I just parked for later about whether I was going to put up with this shit. I'd probably end up going in-house, right? That's probably one of the things. I'd probably end up being like counsel in-house or part of that team. A lot of it's more around policy work and having that, I wanted legal training so I can sort of work more around sort of EULA's terms of service, all of that sort of stuff, right? And, obviously the legal challenges with ethics and also just helping being, like expert witness in these things, right? As a consultant, that was the main reason why I'm doing it. It's just an extension of tech. It's not, I have no interest in working in a community legal centre for, it's just not something that I have an interest in doing, right? But obviously tech is multidisciplinary, so it's one of those things where you have to have a bit of employment law and you have to have a bit of everything else. So I was like, let's just go and get that legal, go get your law degree. It's always hanging there. You got to do something. Also, because I've been so fucking algo fucked, I can't promote myself. Okay. So this is the thing about, like, I don't know, it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And this is why when I say I think it's just, I don't know what the outcome of this is, but I do know when I have to push back, and I do know when I have to fight for what's right, and I do know when something is unfair. I wish that I was better at, like, the thing is, sometimes it looks like I don't pick the right battles. Like, I should just keep my head down. But I saw what my future looked like, which is that I'm going to have to be constantly fucking defending myself against accusations. I'm going to have to constantly keep being on the, like, and right. And I basically was like, this is a no win. There's no win. Zugzwang, right? My favorite word, no winning moves, which is that if I write to the standard that they request, I'm going to get flagged as AI because I'm a good writer. I write to readability standards. I've written SEO oriented, like, web copy for years and years and years and years. I know how to write in a way that is, web friendly. This is the problem. It is my natural, like, it's my natural disposition after, 30, nearly 30 years writing on the internet, to internet standards, to professional standards, to Google's standards around readability and structure, and, I'm a user experience person. I know how to structure language. And the problem is that AI has learned, LLMs learn from me, from people like me, okay, how to write, because they have learned from the internet. So, of course, someone like me is likely to be tripped up with false positives, especially if you use something like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid or something like that, which are also fucking AI, LLM fucking, like, technology, which is allowed. And that's where I tripped up, which was that what I did was I write to accessibility standards and readability. So I just naturally, like, you'll know, I don't use a lot of jargon. Okay, so a lot of people aren't across that. Only sort of, if you watch my streams or read my stuff, those are separate kind of audiences for a start, but also there's, my professional audience, the people who are in my professional audience. A lot of people who watch my streams might not be across my professional work as a consultant, because obviously, I don't want to expose clients and stuff to this bullshit that I do over here on YouTube, right? So you don't know what I've done. I've written in copy for entire help centers for big tech companies. Like, I know how to, and that's like got a legal component. Okay. As someone who is mostly like a UX oriented writer, I am also always thinking about the legal, like, implications. So being precise with my language, making sure that the promise is correct, making sure that it doesn't expose the organization. As an agency, that's something that I took seriously, and a lot of my stuff would just go straight through legal without amendments, which is unusual for a creative agency. And I'm good at that. That's one of the things that I actually am best at, is distilling complexity and communicating in a way that people understand. And this is why I sort of do this, because I like to sort of take those ideas and work with them and try to explain a little bit about what's going on, because what's going on with the world right now is actually pretty complex. Like, there's a lot of moving parts to sort of to explain what is happening in terms of what people see, feel, hear, experience on a daily basis. And, that's a challenge, and that's why I waffle, and that's why I go in tangents, because I'm working it out in real time. But my writing work is separate. That is something that I am skilled at, and I don't write for I don't write for anyone else anymore, mostly because I wanted to keep something creative for myself. Like, people are always asking me to write for them, and I don't want to, because I turned my love of design and my love of animation and my design of code into a job, and it kind of ruined the fun of it for me. So I needed something, an outlet. And anyway, so it's a whole other side point. But as a craft, I am oriented towards writing the way that an LLM would write, and that's really important. Okay, so what's an LLM? Okay, so OpenAI. So ChatGPT. You may be exposed to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a large language model, okay, which means that what it does is it calculates what it's kind of like think it like autocorrect, but on steroids, okay? So, and we all know how reliable autocorrect is. It's great. It won't even let me type cunt, even though I've basically I've corrected fucking dunt to cunt since fucking 2009. But yes, we're relying on fucking hell. Anyway, so basically, so it's like, think about like it. So basically, it's like predictive text. It doesn't. It's not. This is why I find it very weird where they ask GPT questions. It's not about it having knowledge. What it does is it's only as good as how many people. It's an odds. It's a probability calculator, okay, based on what is likely to come next in terms of words. So so based on language or code. So if a certain function, this is how it goes. This is what. But if the majority of people, like anything, if the majority of people are wrong on something, the language model will present something where the majority of people are wrong because it's I'm obviously oversimplifying a lot of this stuff. There's lots of contingencies and there's new research papers every fucking day. You can't keep up. It is impossible. Even those who are in the AI space can't keep up with the AI space right now. It's experiencing double exponential growth in terms of development. And you've got Turnitin who have done a fucking pitch based on GPT 3.5, which is not even the current version of GPT 4, as a fucking checker tool that is 50% at best accurate at detecting whether something is AI or not, especially for someone like me, where I have been orienting and writing towards that fucking model my entire career. It's what I do. I've got 1 million words in that data set that are mine that train that model. That's how prolific I am online, okay? And it's like, it could be even more than that. Okay, like if it's scraping Twitter and various other pieces of data, then it's a lot more than that. Millions and millions and millions of words, my turn of phrase, the way that I structure sentences, the way that I, the way that I express emotions, everything that I do. And I know that artists feel the same way about their art being used in this form. Okay. These guys, they just the new form of fucking robber barons, right? Well, we didn't learn anything from social, where they just take what they want, they do what they want, and then they destroy our fucking lives on the other side of it. Because of a fucking, it's not the academic's fault. I understand from the university point of view, a lot of this stuff is top down. This is a policy thing. I remember in 2011, I wrote the social media policy for a university that I did a 6-month contract at a university, right? My undergraduate university. And they were losing their shit over social media because what was happening was that obviously staff, they didn't have any real rules around it, right? They didn't have gates around it. And so staff were sort of tweeting and there was a exposure for the university. There was a liability for the university. Lecturers, of course, were connecting with students online, and there was that whole sort of academic Twitter was sort of forming around that. And but what it did was it exposed the university to various, that was in the early days. It exposed the various. This was before all of those. This was way, way, way before it became standard to have, not the views of my, these are my views of my own in your Twitter bio like that. That was fucking. That was. It moved so quickly, but that didn't really kick in until about 2011, until 2012. This was before that. This was early 2011-ish. A little later than that. But basically what was happening was that there was a gap, okay, which was that there was a new set of technology that people were using where, again, this fits into this whole internet history as well around pseudonyms colliding with real names. And, there's that whole sort of cross-pollination of your communities and your networks. And, you had LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and they were distinct entities and you use them differently, but those started to collide and people started to, follow on Twitter, but then connect on Facebook. But then if they were on Facebook, it had a real name and then they'd find you on LinkedIn. So that was all forming under social media in those early days, okay? And so with the university, they started a committee, right? They had it was like a year this committee had been meeting. And basically they sat there and they would just get in. This is just working with academics. This is working with academics in general, which is that they just made it, that it became a camel, right? So there's a joke in the design community, which is that, a camel is a horse designed by a committee, okay? But not only in academia, you would not just get a camel, you'd get a camel and, a camel with 3 heads, okay? Like it's just its own. Now, academia is its own beast because it's people with PhDs who think they're clever because they've got a PhD in one topic, they think they're clever in everything. That's just it's a problem in academia in general. It's called the Nobel Prize effect. It's named after Nobel Prize winners who win a Nobel Prize and then suddenly start wandering out of their lane. You'll see that with Jordan Peterson, Brett Weinstein, those types of people where they would just wander off lane and it doesn't work, right? That's why I say I only know 3 things, because I do only know 3 things. Everything else I'm talking shit. So basically, but that committee, so they formed this committee and it would just drag on and on and on because they wanted conditions and conditions and conditions and fucking subsection this 1.3.7.3, blah, blah, blah. I came in and said, how about 10 guidelines, which is basically you've already got your code of conduct. You've already got your inappropriate relationships with students policies. You've already got all of these. Just say this applies online and on social media. If you get sued, then you're on your own. There, done. 11 a set of 11 guidelines that worked for years and years until obviously they signed the commit. I left obviously, and academics were left to do what academics do best, which was to paint themselves into a corner with over-regulation. And that is a problem that you have in law as well, which is that same thing with contracts. You are better off writing a preamble with the spirit of a contract and the intention behind a contract that guides the interpretation of that context of that contract than you are trying to, but over time, your contract in business can become a camel because over time things change and people misinterpret the contract, or you go, that's not what I meant. And then you lose, you lose court cases or whatever because the client decides to interpret it a certain way. Over the years, my contracts got a bit longer, but over time, then they started to get shorter, which was very, very clear, very short, very, so that if it goes to court, what do you want to tell the judge? Which was they signed up to a general thing, a general terms of service. That's an approach to law and which is new-ish, okay? There's obviously lawyers get paid a lot of money to do more work. And to make it impenetrable and stuff. I'm very much in the camp of plain language, accessible, readable contracts. That's why I would argue that the terms of service and all these things are, and EULAs and all of those things on websites, fall under fine print. And I think I think you could actually have a case for an unconscionable contract in the case of social platforms. Okay. So I'm saying that, because they literally, it doesn't even resemble what it was when people signed up, and people would not sign up to the contract right as it stands right now. So anyway, it's a whole other side point. But this is stuff that we should have learned from social, that I've been talking about for years and years, which was this idea that someone like myself, crash test dummy to the fucking end, who it's not clear where my future is, but I need to push back. Okay. The legal profession doesn't like insubordination. Okay. They've accused me of this. I still don't have an answer, but they didn't even ask me. They just said, you're under investigation. And I said, well, I didn't do it. Here's probably what happened. And they went, well, we'll let you know if you're under investigation. And I said, well, if I am, here's my answer first, which is that Turnitin is not accurate, which is that even OpenAI's detection, OpenAI, who make ChatGPT, right? Their detection tool designed to detect their own language model is only 30% accurate. How the fuck are Turnitin claiming that they know better? They don't, and they're just misrepresenting their product, and I'm fucked. It's like, what the fuck? But it's only, I mean, obviously I've been algo fucked now for years. I know how it works. But for someone who, like, think of a fucking poor 18-year-old who worked their fucking guts out, didn't even know what ChatGPT was. I mean, I doubt, you know, but I'm just saying, imagine a fucking 50-year-old who's been writing contracts their whole fucking life, knows how to write a contract, is at law school as a formality. They've been a paralegal maybe. Let's say they've been working as a paralegal for, which is not uncommon, for 20 years. And then they decide, oh, well, I'm just going to get my law degree. Okay, well, I'll do that. Well, I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to do the work and write the right things and all that stuff. And then they don't even know what the fuck ChatGPT is, and they get accused of using an AI tool, and they can't even defend themselves until the uni decides. And it's just like, what the actual fuck with this stuff? And it's like, did you learn the thing from social that you should not be implementing or policing these things, or you need a clear policy in place? But this is serious stuff. And I've talked to a few academic friends of mine, and they're like, well, the university says. Most of the academics I know, because they're not fucking idiots, I actually turn it in actually had no ability for it to be turned off for a start. So Turnitin is a plagiarism detector tool, right? It's a piece of software so that when you hand in your assignment, you whatever, it will check for plagiarism, okay? Fair enough, okay, whatever. Still crap some of the time, because especially in law, when everyone's doing an assignment on the same case, or if you are uploading and then you upload again, it accuses you of plagiarizing yourself, which is another fucking problem. It's always been a problem. And now they're like claiming that they've got this fucking AI detector with 98% accuracy. Bollocks! OpenAI's own detection tool. I'm going to emphasize this. They cannot detect their own tool, their own stuff, whatever it's fucking called, 70% of the time. It's just not okay. So anyway, I'm pissed off about that. But I mean, what annoys me, okay, this is just the bigger picture part. And this is why I'm like, fuck, maybe this is just a book I can't promote because I'll go fucked into oblivion. But maybe this is just a book I need to write somehow, okay? Give me money. Introduce me to a publisher. I've got a sample chapter and an outline. I'm ready to go. I just can't dedicate the time. That said, if I fucking quit law school in a huff, I might have the time. But maybe I should just write it with maybe I should just write it with AI. May as well. There's no point honing your craft at all. Just fucking just the tech guys can just have no skills other than being able to just, with a sense of entitlement and the ability to make some code, and they can just fuck everyone. That's where it's going. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. Because I'm talking like who they're hiring. It's the same. Nobody's learned a thing. Nobody has learned anything from anything that we've gone through in the last decade with this fucking corporate greedy asshole takeover of the entitled takeover of the internet and hijacking by like psychotic capitalism. And it's not even capitalism at this point. It's just fucking like digital feudalism as far as I'm concerned. It's just insane. The fact that this can be so used, it is such a powerful tool, and it is so great. It's great. I use it. Like, you see my deliberately bad thumbnails because I'm roasting Midjourney. Make deliberately bad art, right? It's funny. But I just write and I just like graffiti all over and shit. Right. But there's a reason for that. It's symbolic. Which is that I literally will have to make my writing shitter. I will have to make it worse. I will have to make more spelling errors. I will have to lose commas. I will have to do bad punctuation. I will have to, I'll have to do things I don't want to do in order to write to a fucking algorithm so that I can not get hauled before the legal board with a presumption of guilt. Right? I'm not even talking about the fucking legal board yet. This is like year one of my Juris Doctor. I now face the next two if I'm like speedy. 3, it's likely to take me 5 years, because if I'm going to have to do like 3 times the administrative burden every time I hand in an assignment to prove I haven't used fucking AI, especially that I make myself a target because I'm in tech and they know that, like, actually, to be honest, I'm more insulted that they think that I'd use ChatGPT 3.5. It's like, I know how these tools work. I'm more insulted that you think that I would use it and, you know, not know how to use the tool to get around it. Like, for fuck's sake. You have that low an opinion of your students that you think we're all stupid enough to just use ChatGPT 3.5. The people that want to cheat and know how to use these things will not get caught. What it will do is penalize those who do the right thing and are half decent at writing, especially people who are committed to plain language writing, especially in the legal field where a lot of the words are the same and a lot of the phrases are the same and it's very strict, but there's only like 5 different combinations of sentences that you can use because it's fucking got legal meaning. It's ridiculous. And I'm not going to name the university, obviously, because I want this to be a more, more shareable, and I want to just name this problem, which is that this needs to stop straight away. I've already sat here and said I have to make a calculation about how much I want this law degree. How much do I want to be a lawyer? How much is it worth the humiliation and torture of having to constantly fight because I spent 30 years learning how to write well? You know, and also turn it in. I didn't consent to it, first of all. Second of all, turn it in, just take your shit and use it to train its own fucking detection tool. So if I get flagged as having been written by AI, it learns that. So the more I write in my style, give it to turn it in, guess what happens? They think I'm AI. You can't win. This is a fucking... And do you know what's funny? Because I actually thought, let's ask ChatGPT its position on this, shall we? And I said in my response, in my email response to them, I said, this is a Kafka-esque fucking no-win bullshit witch trial of something, of technology that you don't understand and you should not be implementing and you should be ignoring it because it is not valid. It has, like, again, we got to, I knew that this was coming. Honestly, I knew it was coming because the other unit, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. I'm sitting on high marks. I'm doing great. There's no problem, and as it should be. But this one, basically, it's more structured and it's more about, like, I think it's more about referencing, like hammering in style. I've noticed that unit is a lot, about sort of beating you in the fucking head with referencing and style and structure, which again has a basis, which is that if you're representing a client, you better get your details right. I get that, right? You can't afford to be vague, which is why I don't want to be a lawyer. I just want to get a law degree so I'm skilled enough to be working in as an adjunct to my tech stuff, right? Because most of my degrees and stuff are not current enough. Like when I first did my legal studies degree, I did a cyber law unit. And like we didn't even have, I talked about this, I think, in the last stream, where they didn't even have defamation coverage with the internet. Like I was just told, and when I was harassed and needed an AVO against someone, police had no process. They just said, turn your computer off. It was like, that when I was studying cyber law, that was where the law was at. And because, we were just talking a little bit about those problems that needed addressing, and some of them still haven't. There's no process. There's still no process. There's still no policy. It's bullshit. But so I thought, okay, let's just I've been trying to find I want to upgrade my qualifications, but maybe it just means that I'm part of maybe it's just a dying institution and I just need to but the thing is, because I can't promote myself, because of the other algo fucking that I'm experiencing, because I talk about platform manipulation and troll farms and fucking all of this disinformation and all this stuff, I'm being fucked from all angles. And because I talk about shit no one's interested in, so I can't just build an audience, and because no fucker will put me on a bigger platform, it's like, well, what do? I need to go and I need a plan. My plan right now is to stock shelves. It's like, I don't know what the fucking plan is at this point. It's just insane. So, because they're not hiring social scientists in this space. I looked at the OpenAI careers page, right? Because I was like, all right, well, I've identified a problem. What I might do is approach them and see, I might apply for some stuff. And there's 30 engineers to every social scientist on that thing. There's one, which is head of governance and risk. Oh, buh. So basically giving hand jobs to politicians on behalf of open AI. That's what it is. It's a lobbying job. But like and it's basically just, you know, that's the kind of job that I might if I complete my law degree and have a high distinction, might be able to muscle my way into and do some good work there. However, there's like 20 open engineer positions. And it's like, it's the same thing again. It is the same thing over and over again. This room in 2013, when I remember, it was the CRC, okay, in Sydney, where which is basically it's a government-funded, not for profit incubator where they bring researchers from universities into this incubator, and they match them up with corporate funding and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Kind of like, you know, speed dating, incubation for tech, right, startups and stuff like that, right? So they're basically commercializing research, okay? Mistake number one, because now all research in tech is over a fucking corporate barrel and nobody is addressing it. You've got this. I just hear the sound of mosquitoes every time I think about the fucking circling around engineers they're just hovering and buzzing around these fucking sharks, circling around these fucking engineers who are just trying to make cool shit all the time and exploit it. It is the sickest thing I ever saw. And I was in a conference at one of these things, and I watched a whole room with CFOs, CMOs, CEOs of major like companies, Fairfax, Woolworths, banks, fucking insurance companies, like, and all of that, talk about commercializing research. But the big buzz at the time was data, big data. And I said, I was literally I think there were like 200 people in that room. I was the only person, one person, who said, this is not a good idea. This is unethical. You need to stop. And they went, yes, dear. I said, this is not good. You need to stop. And like, they just obviously patted me on the head, siphon you out, push you out. You know, I mean, I'm in Australia, so it's a bit different where obviously government, it's just because there's a smaller population. I know in America you could just go, fuck it, I'm going over here, or fuck it, I'm going over there. But your options are limited. You've only got a handful of companies. You've only got a handful of people that you can talk to. And if you burn bridges, I've burned bridges with all of them, but if you burn bridges with sort of one influencer in those spaces, you fucking may as well be dead to them, right? So that over the course of my career, I've managed to burn bridges with everybody for objecting to what they're doing and speaking up. And it's the same thing with this university. Just the same thing over and over again, which is that I'm going, you really shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to have to sacrifice my own fucking interests for what's right. And I'm going to say, this X university or all universities, if you're using that tool, you are going to hurt people. It is not reliable. This is not the solution. What's your fucking answer to this? How do I prove that I'm not using AI? And if I did, I wouldn't get caught because I know what I'm doing. So if I do get caught, it means I'm not using it, you fucking idiots, because you can use different tools to remove the water. The second that ChatGPT create a thing where there's a watermark on the words and the language, there's a tool that removes the watermark. You've got paraphrasing tools. You've got all sorts of tools. You've also got the ability, like, and someone was saying, like, oh, well, maybe what we could do is screen record you typing. I said, I could make a macro in Word that simulates typing if you want. It's easy. If you want to work around these things, the people who are fucking wanting to cheat and wanting to do the wrong thing, much like social media, the bad guys are always ahead. But it's going to be people like me, yet again, who suffer because you're fucking like justifying all this shit. It's unworkable. It is untenable. It is an untenable situation, and you need to stop using Turnitin. They've gobbled up every competitor, so I don't think there's an option. But I'm serious. If you're in this education space, it is a perfect opportunity to create a competitor to Turnitin without the AI detection. And what you do is you work with your students, and you trust your students, and you teach them. You don't treat them like criminals. And it's like, fucking hell. And yet, at the end of the day, if I was going to be a lawyer, there's procedural stuff you've got. Again, there's things I understand. There's procedural things you've got to go through. If you're accused of a crime, you got to go through it whether you like it or not. Okay, you got to prove, but the onus in a criminal system, if I was accused of a crime, such as fraud, the onus is on the Crown to prove that I did it and have enough evidence in order to bring a case. Not for me to fucking by default not by default be defending myself and providing evidence of innocence. It's backward. And this is what's happening. I preemptively gave them a fucking bollocking. And I've actually said to them that if you proceed, I laid this out. So basically, I know what happened, which is that, first of all, I don't log into Moodle much. It's just one of those things. First of all, I have ADHD. The way that I study is that I am, up here. I study in my head. I read. I've got a good memory. Obviously, I've studied this before. I understand that from a pure data, this is where data goes wrong. This is where it needs human fucking, you need to be able to talk to a human, because I always sit at that sort of crossroads, right? And so, but basically what's happened here is because they use Moodle. Moodle is basically like the e-learning platform, right? But even I know that Moodle's sort of got its deficiencies. I used to work with Moodle, right? So I know the product inside out. And I know that that's limited as well. And so they're relying on all of these metrics that are not accurate. And the way that I study is that at the beginning of the semester, because especially now that with Notion, but normally it would have been Evernote or OneNote or whatever, is that it's usually all of them. It changes every semester. I go, yep, this is the semester I'm going to get organised. This is the time that I'm going to have everything all in a place, because I do need to, because of stuff like this, where I need to be able to show my work. And the problem is that because the way that I work is so chaotic, it's going to come to bite me in the ass in a big way if I continue. But also I do have a disability, which is ADHD. I'm also so a lot of my writing, a lot of my studying and all of that stuff is in here, right? So I read it and I digest it and I write things in my head, and then sort of 2 or 3 days before the assignment, I kind of just write the first, I just study differently to other people. I work differently to other people. That's just I'm old enough. I'm too old now to really change my study habits. But it's because I'm bright. I can get away with it. And also because, and I've also been a little slack with this because I have studied law, so like intro to law so many times. I'm forced to do this intro to law unit, and I've done it. That's now like the 4th time I've studied this unit. So it's just, not to mention having a undergraduate minor in legal studies and the Masters in Public Policy, whatever. Anyway, so which is sort of related, but not really. That's why I was like, okay, sort of related, but not really. But it's, I've got that brain. I have no problem. Okay, there. And so I don't log in. But also I realised that maybe they're not measuring the fact that I watch lectures with the podcast feed. So it's on so I just watch the lectures as I'm sort of driving or whatever. Not watch them, listen to the lectures as I'm driving. Because again, a lot of it is just sort of stuff I've heard before, but I use the podcast feed for the lectures. So I can understand, again, this comes back to a lot of the Twitter stuff, which is a misunderstanding around the algorithms with nobody to talk to. And the problem is always that there's nobody to talk to clear it up and fix it, where you can go, I understand what's happened here. This is the problem. And then it's a quick, stress-free, you go, okay, I'm lodging an appeal. Okay, easy, done. Now I'm sitting here with an assignment 2 over my head, not knowing, because there's no transparency. I can't see what has been flagged as AI. So now I'm sitting here having fucking panic attacks every time I sit and try to write my second assignment, because I don't know what I've said or done that will be flagged as AI. Because I can put it through like Chat Zero, or I can put it through others, but Turnitin have different proprietary stuff that I don't know what they're doing. And so there's no visibility. So I have no means of fucking correcting it, no means of defending myself. I know how it works, which is that I know that I have, I and my peers and, in UX writing, particularly in SEO and all those like web writers are particularly likely to get false positives because LLMs have learned from us, right? And it also then becomes a self-fulfilling problem, which is that the more that I write, the more that it flags me as AI because I'm training it. and it's doing it without my consent. I did not sign in. I did not opt into this. This is the thing. And this is why I'm like, I hope that this university has a good fucking law school, because they're going to actually have to show that they are, because there's no contract. I did not consent to this. I consented to studying law and using Turnitin. I did not consent to being accused of academic misconduct based on a tool that is not fit for purpose. It is not ready. They have lied. It's just not, anyone in AI will tell you that go to Reddit and just Google Turnitin inaccurate, false positives, and you'll just see a flood of distressed fucking students. There's a class action coming. I see it. It's just coming. It's fucking bollocks. But we haven't learned anything, because the same thing happened with social media, which was that early people who fought this and said, this is a bad idea, were managed out of the fucking room. They were managed out, okay, while the engineers took over and they just fucking did it. I actually messaged Robert Scoble, who's a big guy in this space, right? And I asked him if he knows anybody who is dealing with false positives as in terms of policy or preventing false positives or ethics or anything like that. He can't name any. He told me to ask ChatGPT. He was being glib, but this is how these people think, okay? And again, I'm one of those, so I get it. I get where they're, but it's just it's the same fucking blind spot, which is that human-centered, the impacts on humans, the political impact, and the fact that they don't, as long as 99.9% of people are caught doing things, then the 1% whose lives get fucking destroyed, they're just collateral damage. In tech, that is the technocrat mindset, which is that they're data driven. They focus on the 99%, and the 1% of people who get destroyed are just collateral damage. And that's the same thing with social media. This is how we ended up in this situation with, the United States government. Basically, I don't understand how it's not a clear-cut case of breach of Constitution on the right to privacy. I don't understand how it is not a clear-cut fucking case. It's astonishing how duplicitous the United States government is. My son actually said, it was like, America, the place of free speech, the only country with free speech, asterisk. With literally every qualification for free speech that means that you don't have any at all meaningfully. I think I would actually argue that we have more free speech here than in America, mostly because the American government is far more motivated to work around it and find loopholes around the, right to privacy and free speech because of these cemented constitution. That's one of the things that obviously, that's why we don't have a Bill of Rights. It's one of those things. It was actually on purpose, right? Because they found themselves painting themselves into this corner, which is that they have to constantly keep finding loopholes. And so they end up, it's like, the spirit of the law is that you should leave people the fuck alone unless you absolutely need to interfere, unless they're dangerous. And I'm not what the fuck? It should be enough for me to go, I know what happened here. And also pro writing aid, which is like Grammarly, those are allowed at the university. So you need to ban those as well, which I use to keep under word count or look at structure or look at repeating words or, that sort of stuff, right? Because that's the problem with something like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid is that it will advise you to not have too many words repeated. It will advise you to change certain things. It's actually orienting you towards looking like you've been writing with AI because you can't win. It's a trap. And that's right. And I'll say about Kafka, I said it's Kafkaesque. And it was so weird. Do you know why? Because they turned around and I asked ChatGPT what ChatGPT thought for fun, because obviously Robert Scoble said, have you tried asking ChatGPT? And I did, about this situation. And it used the word Kafkaesque. And I went, well, I'm fucked. I'm absolutely fucked. There's no point pursuing this. And this is the reality of what's going on with AI at the moment. But it's so frustrating that they won't listen. They just won't fucking listen at all. So I sent them this whole thing where I was like, okay, I understand that. I understand what happened here. I know tech. I also told them I play with AI all the time. I'm making Taya GPT for fun. But I want to be a good lawyer. I'm not going to cut corners. I want to learn how to do the right thing because I understand that I need to represent a client if I'm going to, and like, you know, I'm not, what's the point of doing it? I don't understand the point. Also, I know how inaccurate they are, and that by the time you spend all the time you spend doing prompting it, you may as well write the fucking essay and read the thing. There's no point. Sorry, you may as well do all the readings and write the thing yourself. There's no point. Okay, so it's like, and also if I was going to use it, I'd use GPT-4 and like fucking like change it so it wouldn't get detected. What are you? And I said, would I say this if I was using it? Of course I wouldn't. I wouldn't fucking like incriminate myself. So what the fuck is going on? Unfortunately, this poor like young academic person probably gets abuse every day. But I tried to keep it polite. But at the same time, it's like, what the fuck? I'm not taking this. And I did actually say, I wrote my thing. I stated my case. I said I use Pro Writing Aid to correct my grammar. That's the only tool that I use when I'm writing my essays. I do know a lot about AI. They are unreliable. I sent an article, including the one I'm just about to show you, about how unreliable it is. I've said my case. I've stated my case. If you proceed with this, I'm done. But I will be like looking at legal avenues, right? And it's like, well, no, because this is a hill that you need to die on. And unfortunately, I end up dying on fucking hills. And, I end up the one, obviously, I could shut up and just take it and go, yes, ma'am. But I actually, you know what, the thing that actually put a fire under me with this was I posted on Facebook about this. And I had two friends who had been told that they've been accused of the same thing. Okay. And that now one of them, single mum, okay, who's studying her law degree. Basically she is now having to show that she didn't cheat by keeping logs of everything, showing versions of everything. So not only like there's obviously a employment angle here as well but it's not just about the students, but the workload of lecturers is now multiplied by fucking 50. The people who are actually cheating and know anything about AI are actually going to get around it. So it's just a waste. It's a waste of university resources. It's going to put more load on lecturers who are just fucking like at a loss because they're just trying to cheat. And honestly, most of the lecturers that I know are just having conversations about ChatGPT in the way that I'm talking about it, which is, do you want to be a good lawyer? Do you want to cut corners because it's going to make you a bad lawyer? And it's going, why are you doing law and why are you doing it if you know what I mean? Like it's counterproductive, right? So like that's the way that you have these conversations, which is by all means play with it, but not this fucking draconian trapping of and false accusations, this fucking, bullshit witch hunt of things that have, it really is. It's like the witch trials. Like if she sinks, she was a witch. Oh no, what is it? If she floats, she's a witch. If she sinks, she's a witch. And if she dies, oh well, she's just like, you can't win. This is what this stuff is. It's like a race to the bottom, right? And like it's run, and I looked at OpenAI because I actually thought like I would alert them and go, you know what, you need to hire more people in this detection space because it's getting serious and it's actually affecting lives. And guess what? I looked at their openings and it's all engineers. It's all just engineers. They're not hiring and lobbyists. They're not actually hiring anyone of who is dealing with this stuff. Okay, it's really fucking worrying. And I mean, obviously there's others as well, but also, it's really funny to me because I could literally just train my own model. If I really wanted to, I could just train my own model. It's easy to do. I could train my own model to like simulate me, to simulate my voice, to simulate everything. And I am doing that for fun as a side project. But at the end of the day, it comes down to whether you trust me as a person to not use the tool. I'm not going to. I said I didn't use it. I understand why. If I did use it, I'd use it in a way that wouldn't get detected by that shitty software. And like, get what I'm saying? And also what it does is now I realize that I have to ignore every piece of feedback that I get about my legal writing because I'm not like writing to that. I'm writing to the algorithm. I'm writing to an algorithm. I'm not writing for you anymore, lecturer. I'm writing for fucking ChatGPT. I will happily lose 10 marks, 20 marks, 30 marks for grammar or style. I'm going to have to. I have to lose. I'm just going to have to sit at the fucking 51, 55, 60%. to stop being accused of of academic misconduct every time I hand in an assignment because I'm good at writing. Fucking insane. Bonkers.
What a load of old shit.
So I'm just going to show you this, right? So we tested a new ChatGPT detector for teachers. It flagged an innocent student. 5 high school students helped our tech columnist test the ChatGPT detector coming from Turnitin to 2.1 million teachers. It missed enough to get someone in trouble. Right? High school senior Lucy Goetz, or Getz, I'm not sure, got the highest possible grade on an original essay she wrote about socialism. So imagine her surprise when I told her that a new kind of educational software I've been testing claimed she got help from artificial intelligence. The new AI writing detector from Turnitin, whose software is already used by 2.1 million teachers to spot plagiarism, flagged the end of her essay as likely being generated by ChatGPT. Say what? Who swears she didn't use the AI writing tool to cheat. I'm glad I have good relationships with my teachers. After months of sounding the alarm about students using AI apps that can churn out essays and assignments, teachers are getting AI technology of their own. On April 4th, so it's only, it's not even fucking a month yet. Turnitin is activating the software I tested for some 10,000 secondary and higher educational institutions, assigning generated by AI scores and sentence-by-sentence analysis to student work. Now, the reason why the sentence-by-sentence analysis thing doesn't work is because pro-writing aid and Grammarly are allowed and people use it to rephrase things. So they're going to make it so that it looks like it's written by, you got to have it's bullshit. You see why I'm fucking mad about this? Obviously, not just because it directly affects me, but on behalf of everyone who's being it's not even been 3 weeks. Yeah, no, it's into our 4th week because I had surgery on the 3rd of April. So there you go. Fucking 4 weeks it took to fucking start destroying people. At least it took 3 or 4 fucking years for social media to start having an impact. On April 4th, Turnitin is here we go. It joins a handful of other free detectors already online. For many teachers, so I actually did put a GPT-0 because I have 50% of my blog, okay? Not so much my blog, but like old essays, papers and stuff that I've written over the years that I've still got. I put them into GPT and 50% of them were flagged as AI written, and I wrote them like before ChatGPT or AI was a thing. Like it's so unreliable. What's really funny is that my blog sometimes says that it's been written by AI, but my blog is a bit more creative, so it's a bit different. But it's 50-50. It will mark large any good paragraph that anyone writes. It says was written by fucking AI. And it's just absolutely bonkers. If you're half good at this, then it gets marked. Okay. So it uses sentence-by-sentence analysis to student work. It joins a handful of other free detectors online. From many teachers I've been hearing from, AI detection offers a weapon to deter a 21st century form of cheating. Now, basically, I have a feeling that what the university is doing is making an example of people so that they, put fear into people. I'm not going to be fucking doing this. I'm not afraid. I'm not going to be their fucking A/B test. What I will do is be the person that fights back for others, but it's just not right. Okay. So this tool is already accusing people of being a massive administrative burden on academics, a massive administrative burden on students. Academics are already stretched. Okay. And also, like I keep saying, those who are going to cheat are going to be ahead of this anyway, because it's running on 3.5. You can check if it's just bullshit. Like I said, I'm more insulted than they think that I'd be that dumb. But AI alone. Hang on, where are we? But AI alone won't solve the problem AI created. The flag on a portion of Gert's essay was an outlier, but shows detectors can sometimes get it wrong with potentially disastrous consequences for students. Detectors are being introduced before they've been widely vetted, yet AI tech is, and also don't forget, Turnitin turned this on making a grand promise of 98% accurate. Also, teachers who aren't as tech savvy, that's right. So what happened was I actually knew this was coming because I knew there was a forum post about 10 days ago where basically they said, we haven't got your marks yet because we've noticed a high amount of potential academic integrity issues. I'd like to emphasize that AI tools are not allowed and that the tools we use to detect them are highly sophisticated tools. That's a real flag. I could almost detect that that's a corporate AI talking shit. It's not true. And I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Here we go. The other lecturer, not so bad. They're pretty good and they take it. But this one, I'm not sure whether what their strategy is because they're supposed to be lawyers. They should know that this exposes the university to some pretty fucking serious legal consequences. But this particular lecturer has a lot of confidence in the tools. I'm guessing that they're using it. I think they're just being. Part of me feels like they're being heavy-handed and making examples of people to scare other people, which I won't be that. I'm done. I'm not interested in being that again. But again, people underestimate me, which is that I will push back and I will make sure that this is dealt with. I'm a formidable enemy in this space. And I'm like, well, I didn't say this to them, but I said it on Facebook and I said, let's see how you go. I hope you're a good legal department, is all I'm going to say, because I have a feeling that when I'm done, you'll be asking to hand me my law degree. It's like, this is why I'm studying law, specifically this issue. Do you really want this? That's what I said. It's like, best of luck. But it's a pivotal moment for educators. Ignore AI and cheating could go rampant. Yet even Turnitin's executives tell me that treating AI purely as the enemy of education makes about as much sense in the long run as trying to ban calculators. Exactly. And also, most people don't want to be mathematicians. If you want to be a good mathematician, you're going to try to figure it out like manually. But for most people, it's a tool to be more efficient, right? But it's also so inaccurate. And Turnitin, I hope they get sued into a fucking oblivion by universities after the universities get sued into oblivion by the students. Fun times. Ahead of Turnitin's launch this week, the company says 2% of customers have asked it not to display AI writing scores on student work. That includes a significant majorities of universities in the United Kingdom. To see what's at stake, blah, blah, blah. So the result, it got over half of them at least partly wrong. Right, so here we go. So to see what's at stake, I asked Turnitin for early access to its software. 5 school students, including Gertz, volunteered to help me test it by creating 16 samples of real AI fabricated and mixed source essays to run past Turnitin's detector. The result, it got over half of them at least partly wrong. Turnitin accurately identified 6 of the 16, but failed on 3, including a flag on 8% of Gertz's original essay. And I'd give it only partial credit on the remaining 7, where it was directionally correct but misidentified some portion of ChatGPT generated or mixed source writing. Turnitin claims its detector is 98% accurate overall, and it says situations such as what happened with Gertz's essay happen less than 1% of the time. What a load of shit.
What a load of old shit.
Okay. And then they sort of walk it back. Turnitin also says that scores should be tweeted. It's 98% accurate. It's only a 1% false positive. However, it should only be treated as an indication, not an accusation. That's not how you've presented it, because I'm being accused. Okay. Still, will millions of teachers understand they should treat AI scores as anything other than fact? No, my lecturer didn't. My lecturer said our tools are extremely sophisticated, perfectly reliable, and half of our class is now being flagged for fucking academic integrity. And now we're in an academic misconduct fucking it's insane. So anyway, after my conversations with the company, it added a caution flag to its score that reads, percentage may not indicate cheating, review required. So again, I can understand that, which is that the university did actually confirm that it's a few things they take into account. I understand why I might have gotten caught in the net, which was that obviously, like I said, I don't log into Moodle much. I use the podcast feed to like watch lectures on my like devices. I'm sort of going about my day. I do a lot of my work offline. You know, there's a lot of signals that I understand why that might be the case. Also, I use Pro Writing Aid, and I'm happy to cop that those sentences may have been flagged, but then you've got to ban Pro Writing Aid and Grammarly, and there's grammar check tools. You can't but also ChatGPT is about to be built into Word, so you can't stop this shit. So the question is whether that will be enough. The fact that the Turnitin system for flagging AI text doesn't work all the time is concerning. No shit. So anyway. Unlike accusations of plagiarism, AI cheating has no source document to reference as proof. This leaves the door open for teacher bias to creep in. For students, that makes the prospect of being accused of AI cheating especially scary. There is no way to prove that you didn't cheat unless your teacher knows your writing style or trusts you as a student. And especially, that's why I made a point of explaining that, like, how it's like, do you know how these models work? Because if you don't, then, you know, if you did, then you'd understand why I got like a false positive, and what I said should be enough for you. Right? It's just fucking ridiculous. Anyway, but we haven't learned from social. Like, again, this is nothing new. I've been algo fucked for fucking 5 years over like various things and being mass reported and having no one to call as usual. But, you know, obviously it's getting worse. It's not just fucking cancel culture on Twitter anymore. It's academic misconduct. It is your ability to even practice, like, to even get registered. If you get 1 mark on your fucking academic record, you can't register as a lawyer. Even if you have been unfairly fucking, like, vindicated, it sits there as a mark. And it's like, this is another reason why I decided with psychology to just fucking, it's not worth it. Because it's just these institutions are so fucking draconian, just archaic. And they don't know how to deal with tech. And they haven't listened. They have not learned a fucking thing from social. And it's just like, well, here we go again. Fucking Taya picking up a cause. Not it's because it's fucking the right thing to do. Taya's going to pay the fucking price as usual, but that's okay. But we'll also make it so she's got no other career alternatives because she also can't fucking promote herself because she's been algo fucked from that as well. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. I did everything the right way. I used my real name forever. I trusted in the system. I trusted this stuff. And like, it's just fucking ridiculous. But anyway, I'll keep fighting the good fight. I don't know how, but I'll keep you updated. I hope, and I have actually said to them, this is the last defense I will make on this. If I get accused again, I'm out. I'm going to a university that trusts their students. I said, this is not acceptable. What are you going to do? Sit over my shoulder and make me write a thing? Are you going to record my screen? Do you want to put cameras above my desk? What the fuck do you want? Because I don't know. You do not get to justify or manufacture consent for surveillance and fucking censorship and fucking all this shit just because you're afraid of technology and afraid of people fucking and trying to enforce and protect a system that doesn't work. Bullshit. It's like you can't have it this way. It's just not right. And I understand that fighting is part of being a lawyer and going through the process, but I'm not fucking changing things in a rigged system. I know when to settle a case. But I won't be fucking, it's like, no, get fucked. I know when something's rigged and you can't win. There is no fair and transparent process with this. I still don't know what specific things have been flagged. I don't know. I have an assignment due. I don't know what has been flagged and what hasn't. I don't know. And I've got to do another assignment that might compound that problem. Why don't I just fucking use AI then? What's the point? I tell you, my trust in, I don't know why I still trust institutions anyway, but for some reason I think it's going to figure itself out. I don't know why, because I have no evidence to support the fact that that people will use tech responsibly or be fair. I have no evidence for that anymore. And the people who are academics, they sit there and they talk down to me and they go, well, that's just the system. Yes. And you're perpetuating it. What the fuck happened to you? You used to fucking have, what the fuck? Why are you not yelling like this on behalf of your students? Why do the people who are most affected by it have to sit here looking like the town fucking schizo all the time? Because you're too fucking afraid of the power structures. It's only about you and your career. I can't believe, I know that some are, but I can't believe that especially people who are working at universities who are my friends aren't hearing and seeing what's happened to me and fucking coming out and saying, look at this, fuck off. No, they won't. Because they want to keep their job. They don't want to fucking create waves. They don't want, it's the same shit over and over and over again where I just see cowards. But that's okay. If you're an academic who feels fucking sympathy for me, become a patron or give me some money. Pay me reparations. Because I've had 5 years of talking, 30 actually, but 5 where it fucking hurt me. I speak the fucking truth all the time, no matter what. You owe me. Give me fucking money for talking and allowing myself to look like the fucking town crazy all the time when you all know I'm not. I'm just speaking up. It's like, get fucked. Anyway, I gotta go. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go. I love you. Take care. Become a patron. Jesus Christ. PayPal links. Fucking hell. If you're an academic, fucking seriously. Anyway, get your shit together, especially if you're watching this on LinkedIn and you're watching the replay. Fucking share this to the AI people. Tell OpenAI, if you know them, tell them to hire people like me. Tell Turnitin to turn off their shit. It's fucking bullshit. It's presumption of guilt. And also, again, I'm going to emphasize that if I was going to cheat, if I was going to use it, I wouldn't get caught doing it because I would train my own model and I would train it to do what I want it to do. Because I'm not a fucking idiot. Bye-bye, law degree. I think I've just burned that bridge. But you never know. They might respect my fight. You never know. Eternal fucking optimism. Look at me. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. But I refuse to step into nihilism. That said, if you fucking innate, just whatever. Anyway, I'm going to go. I love you. Take care. I'm going to start extorting money from people who are fucking cowards.
What a load of old shit!
That's a peddling.
I'm just never sick of these buttons. I need more of them. Hang on.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
I love you. Take care. Bye.
All this computer hacking is making me thirsty.